Hello, dear friends. Welcome to Extra Class. Today, I will share with you the life story of Mahatma Gandhi. I will also tell you about Gandhiji's contribution in India's independence, about his philosophy of non-violence, what is Satyagraha, and why is Gandhiji called the father of nation. Listen this from beginning to end to have a clear idea about Mahatma Gandhi. So let's start. No violence, no hatred, no malice, no display of muscular power, no injury to the enemy, no use of weapons or firearms, no bloodshed. Only through his non-violent Satyagraha movements, the man who shook and unsettled the base of the British rulers was Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, the age man or Jugapurush of Indian national movements for independence. So the poet rightly said, दे दी हमें आज़ादी बिना खर्ग बिना ढाल साबरमती के संत तूने कर दिया कमाल. From 1919 to 1947, Indian national politics and national movements for independence centered around Gandhiji. This long 28 years is known as Gandhi Juk in Indian history. He was the first man to make India's independent movement as the movement of common people. Gandhiji was the first leader who united people irrespective of classes, races, religions. He called laborers, farmers, students to join India's national movement against the British rulers. He was also the first man to shape Indian national movement as the mass movement, the struggle of common people. Gandhiji's simple life, down to earth attitude, simple clothing, saint like behavior, interest to all religions attracted the young intellectual people of the time. Non-violence was the way of his movements. Even he did not have any hatred against his extreme enemies. So, the poet of all poets, Rabindranath Tagore, called him Mahatma or the Great Soul. Gandhiji considered himself to be the server of truth. To him, truth means God, and the purpose of human life is to search God. So he followed the path of non-violence in search of truth. He held in him what he believed to be true. As a result, his own life has become his education. So he said, "My life is my message." Like Swami Vivekananda, he also believed that everything can be sacrificed for truth, but truth cannot be sacrificed for anything. His non-violence, opposite to hatred, violence, and communalism, showed a new positive way to the leaders of world's politics. His non-violent and satyagraha played important roles in movements around the world. Renowned leaders like Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King Jr. were motivated by Gandhiji's non-violent satyagraha and were successfully able to implement it in their movements. Some world's elite leaders and popular personalities who were also motivated by his philosophy of non-violence are Dalai Lama, Caesar Chavez, Aung San Suu Kyi, Desmond Tutu, Barack Obama, Adolf Perez Esquivel, George Bernard Shaw, Ho Chi Minh, and he has many other devotees and followers around the world. Ambassador of non-violence and the worshipper of truth, Gandhiji was born on 2nd October 1869 in a noble merchant family. His father Karamchand Uttamchand Gandhi was the Diwan of Porbandar. His mother Putlibai was a pious lady. She belonged to a Vaishnav family. Gandhiji's family were vegetarian. From childhood, Gandhiji was honest. Gandhiji considered stealing and lying as sin from his childhood. He had a peculiar habit. He liked to spin the ear of dogs. It gave him great joy. He had read Harishchandra and Sravana Bhakti dramas in his childhood. These two dramas had great impact on his mind. Gandhiji's father had friends of different communities like Jain, Parsi, Muslim, etc. As a result, from his childhood, he got the environment to mix with the people of other communities. It made him religiously generous. Gandhiji studied in elementary school up to the age of 7. Later, he was admitted to a local school when he was 9 years of age. After this, when he was 11, he got admission to Alfred High School at Rajkot. This Alfred High School is now known as Gandhi Museum. In 1888, he passed matriculation from this school, and in the same year, he joined Shyamuldas College at Bhavnagar, but left the college that year and went back to Porbandar with his family. He got married with Kasturba Bai at the age of 13 when he was still reading in his high school. Later, Kasturba Bai inspired him and motivated him a lot to lead different political and nationalist movements in India. On the advice of his eldest brother and a friend of their family, he decided to go to England to study law. But his mother and his wife was not agree to the proposal. He went to London in 1989 on the condition that he would not come in contact with wine and women. He returned from England in 1991 after completing his study and started practicing in Bombay and Rajkot. He practiced there for 2 years without having much success. At the time, in 1993, a Muslim ship merchant offered him to go to South Africa to fight his case. He spent long 21 years there, though in the middle he returned to India in 1901 and again went to South Africa in 1903. South Africa transformed lawyer Gandhi to a political Gandhi. In South Africa, he led Satyagraha movements against the racist white rulers in protest of their torture and exploitation against the native blacks and Indians. As a result, he had to face various injustice and tortures. Once he was thrown out of a railway compartment. Once he was beaten severely by the white rulers and was about to die. But even so much torture could not stop him. The book The Kingdom of God by famous Russian writer and philosopher Leo Tolstoy and Unto the Last by famous English writer Ruskin inspired him to a great extent. Satyagraha is a combination of two words, Shatya or truth and Agraha means interest. So, Satyagraha means interest to truth. Gandhiji called his struggle as Satyagraha based on truth and interest and directed against injustice. According to him, Satyagraha is the power of soul or power of love. Gandhiji believed that the Satyagrahis would lead peaceful non-violent movement and would never become violent. The purpose of Satyagraha is to change the heart of the oppressor by silently bearing all the tortures. According to him, a true Satyagrahi is one who is far from harming the enemies and even does not bear slightest hatred against the enemies. Gandhiji, after spending 21 years in South Africa, returned to India, being a mature leader in 1915. Through his Satyagraha movements, Gandhiji was able to defeat the white rulers in South Africa. In South Africa, he made various experiments on Satyagraha and applied them to various nationalist movements later in India. The British rulers who threw him out of the train compartment one day, he was able to out them out of India. In India, Gandhiji's first Satyagraha was Champaran Satyagraha. The farmers of Champaran were forced to cultivate indigo and cotton against their will. In 1970, he stood with the farmers of Champaran and protested against the torture and exploitations of the Nilkar Sahibs. He also started a movement to reduce excess taxes on farmers in the flood ravaged Khera district. Through his Champaran and Khera Satyagraha, he was able to draw honor and attention of the British authority. Gandhiji's next most important movement was non-cooperation movement. He realized that it was only because of indirect cooperation of Indians that the British were able to carry out their rule and exploitations in the country. So he called upon the people of the country to join the non cooperation movement against the British. He asked people to boycott foreign goods, to boycott foreign clothings, and becoming completely self-reliant in food and clothing. He also asked people to boycott British educational institutions. He also asked to take leave from British government. People from all walks of life joined the movement. Gandhiji's purpose was to continue the movement in a peaceful way. When non-cooperation movement was at its peak in Chauri Chaura, Bihar, the movement turned violent. Gandhiji withdrew the movement. Gandhiji was arrested and sentenced to 6 years of jail. He was released from jail after 2 years due to ill health. He said, "You can chain me, you can torture me, you can even destroy my body, but you will never imprison my mind." In 1930, the British government imposed a tax on salt and banned Indian salt production. In protest, Gandhiji called for Salt Satyagraha. He started Salt March on 12th March from Sabarmati Ashram with 78 Satyagrahis to Dandi, 240 miles away. They covered 10 miles every day, and in 24 days they completed this march. On 6th April, Gandhiji breached salt law by picking up salt from sea beach and disobeyed the British rulers in India. Gandhiji was taken to jail again. His followers were also sent to jail. More than 95 lakhs people who joined the movement were also arrested. Yet Salt Satyagraha spread all over the country. Gandhiji's civil disobedience movement played an important role in the history of Indian freedom movement. It was successful to change the attitude of the British regarding the independence of India. In 1942, Gandhiji called the British to quit India. Gandhiji's "do or die" or "karenge ya marenge" stirred the whole country. Gandhiji was put under house arrest at Aga Khan Palace in Pune. Though Gandhiji was kept in house arrest, yet the Quit India movement spread all over the country and took a huge shape. From city to village, male or female, people, irrespective of class, caste, and religion, joined the movement. The intensity of the Quit India movement was so high that it laid the foundation of India's independence. The colonial rulers realized that through torture and repression, they could not be able to continue rule in India for a long time. When the British imperialists were disoriented and terrified by Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose's armed revolutionary movement at the time, the Quit India movement shook the foundations of the British government. In 1945, after the end of Second World War, the British promised to give India independence. Gandhiji dreamed to build a prosperous nation, but partition and riots shattered his dream. He was sad and upset. He started hunger strike with the aim of establishing peace throughout the country. He said that India could be partitioned only over his dead body, but he could not prevent partition. On 30th January 1948, Gandhiji was shot dead at Birla House at 5:17 p.m. when he was going to attend evening prayer. India's beloved Bapu is no more. The news spread all over the country like flame. Not only India, but the whole world stood still. People gathered on the road to see Mahatma for the last time. Long era had come to an end, but great soul like Mahatma Gandhi never dies. He is alive in the hearts of every Indian. Gandhiji is recognized as father of nation for his philosophy of life, principles of non-violence, and significant contribution to India's freedom movement. World famous scientist Albert Einstein said, "Generation to come will scare to believe that such a one as this ever in flesh and blood walked upon this earth." Dalai Lama said, "We have a big war going on between world peace and world war, between the force of mind and the force of materialism, between democracy and totalitarianism. To fight these big wars at present, we need Gandhian philosophy." Hope you like this little effort of mine. If it helps you the slightest, please give a like to my video and share this video to your friends. And of course, never forget to subscribe my channel. Thanks for watching.